July 19th. I felt the ride last night. I had to sleep on my stomach. Uncle had an ointment to rub on the sore parts. The soreness didn't excuse me from working though. July 20. I don't think the wing dam will ever get built. Uncle reminded me though that in the northern China, Chinese built a wall all along the border. I should have remembered that from school. The others have begun to call the wing dam the Great Wall. July 23rd. Tomorrow is my reward for a week of hard work, another ride. Uncle has promised me that we will take out the horse again, that there are some waterfalls that Uncle wants to show me. With a little luck this time, the horse will cooperate. July 25th. So far, no trouble in town this Sunday. I'm writing this while Uncle and I wait for the horses to be saddled. We got up early and ate a quick meal. Uncle also got the cook to make up a meal to take with us. I tried to hide my excitement as we reached town. A herd of 12 huge beef cattle were being driven into town for the slaughter. There were the usual Sunday crowds, but I didn't see Hiram. Later. We followed the stream to the falls. I could hear them long before I saw them. They cascade from a cliff in a huge tail of white plumes. The mist feels refreshing in the heat. And Esteban's here. He and 3 men were on a rock with a basket of food. I guess they were having a picnic too. When they saw us, Esteban's friends jumped to their feet and drew their guns. Somehow Esteban and I managed to get everyone introduced. The 3 men are his brothers. They have come up for the day from their claim in the next district. They put their guns away with apologetic smiles. There is so much I wanted to ask him. I'm sure he felt the same way, but neither of us had enough words. I gather, though, that they too had met bullies like the ones we met on the boat and in town. I couldn't blame them for being fearful of strangers. It was Uncle's idea to catch some fish. I missed the fresh fish that we took from the pond at Tiger Rock, and I am sick of the salted fish we get in camp. So I agreed. Uncle found some straight branches and stripped them so they were poles. Then he took a ball of string from his pocket. He must have been planning this all along. I wondered what he was going to do for hooks, but he took out some nails and used a rock to bend them. If Uncle was not successful at home, it was because of his bad luck, not because he was stupid. He hummed happily to himself as he fashioned our fishing poles. Despite the growing dangers we faced working in the mines, I've never seen him so content. With all its risks, America suits an inventive person like him. When the 2 poles were ready, he handed one to Esteban and one to me. In the meantime, Esteban's brothers had begun to play a game with cards. As they tried to teach the games to Uncle, through signs, Esteban and I dug worms out of the soil. Then we walked to where the stream still ran and sat on the bank and cast our lines into the water. As we sat in the sun by the sparkling water, I forgot for a while about the American taxmen and bullies. Evening. When we got back to town, the casual crowd was gone and the bullies were out. When we returned, Uncle told me to stick close to him. After last Sunday, I didn't have to be told twice. As he tried to match his stride, I kept telling myself not to be afraid. I was sure, though, that I could feel their eyes boring into my back like little axes. Uncle acted like he was out for a stroll, like he's like a whole different man here. I wish the clan back in China could see how much courage he has. Why hadn't I realized this before? I hope America changes me too. So far, I don't feel brave at all. July 26. The bullies have gotten bolder. Today, one of the miners went to town for supplies. A half-dozen bullies followed. They followed him out of the store and shouted insults all the way back to camp. They were like a pack of snarling dogs. They stopped right on the edge of our camp. Then they saw us coming with axes and they scurried off. The fox ordered us all back to work, but he looks worried. It's all anyone can talk about. Will we get kicked out like the Chinese and the other mining districts? Even Uncle, who always looks on the sunny side of things, isn't sure. July 27. Uncle and a crew are cutting some of the smaller trees that are straight and true. I got to help with one of the two-person saws. I took a little getting used to it. American saws are the reverse of Chinese ones. Their saws cut on the backward or pulling stroke. Our Chinese saws cut on the forward or pushing stroke. As soon as he had the first log, Uncle began to split it with wedges to make it into planks as smooth and smooth them with a plane. July 28. In China, water chains carry water from the stream to the nearby fields and irrigation ditches. They are wooden troughs with a chain of wooden paddles. No one else but Uncle knows how to build a water chain. Now I understand why he was hired at such a high rate. Uncle and I have begun to construct water chains. He has only American tools, but once he got used to them, he seemed to forget about all our troubles. In between saw strokes, I could hear him humming. I found myself cheering up too. July 29. This afternoon, one of the miners came back from town with a big lump on his head. The bullies had thrown stones at him. As the fox examined the lump on the victim's head, he said that this was a sign. I couldn't see what of. At home, a sign would be a certain star rising between the dragon's horns, which means it's time to start planting. So I asked the fox what he meant. The fox said just one word: change. I thought the fox meant that he could read, wind, and water. In China, there were experts who read the signs in nature. They could make you rich and keep you healthy. However, the fox said that what he read was Americans. We have to be very careful from now on. As if I need that warning. July 30. Late this morning, the fox called everyone over. He had a letter to mail. Someone had to take it to town. In the pre-bully days, everyone would have wanted the job as a break from the work. Now, no one did. The fox must have been expecting us to hold back because he already had straws in his back pocket. He told us that the one who drew the shortest would go. He didn't want Uncle and me to take one. He needed Uncle to build the water chains, and I was too young. However, Uncle insisted on trying. I think he wanted to be fair to the others. And since Uncle did it, I took one too. I was sweating until I saw mine was a long one. Naturally, Uncle's luck held true. He got the shortest. I started worrying about the bullies in town. With Uncle's luck, they will use bullets instead of stones. Uncle's memory, though, is as short as his luck. He never seems to remember the last disaster. He told me not to fret. Of course, I couldn't help it. Later. Uncle came back with his shirt all torn and cuts and bruises on his face. Well, at least he's alive. The fox tended to his wounds. When Uncle took off his shirt, I saw that his body had even more cuts and bruises. He had told us the bullies had jumped him after he mailed the letter. This time they had not yelled any insults first, so there had been no warning or chance to run. I was all set for reporting them to the local magistrate. The fox stared at me as if I had said the dumbest thing. He told me it would be no use to go to the magistrate. Chinese are not allowed to testify in the courts. No one with a dark skin can. There were not people to the Americans. When I asked, I found that Esteban and his brothers or Jubal would also not be allowed to be witnesses. There are bullies not just in town and not just in the other mining camps. They are even in the government. The fox told me that the whole truth then. If an American jumps one of our claims or robs one of us, it's not a crime. Not unless another American sees it and testifies. I had never heard of a country with such laws, but the fox said that this is the Americans' country and their rules. But it's our country too. We work hard here and pay taxes. I thought of the bullies in the town. There are only a few of them. I expect most Americans are like Hiram. The fox agreed with me. Unfortunately, the good ones are just as scared of the bad ones as we are. There is no one to help us. Suddenly, the Golden Mountain seems even farther away from home. August 1st. This Sunday, Uncle didn't think it was safe to go into town to get a horse. I hadn't realized how much I looked forward to the rides. However, I tried to hide my disappointment. Instead, I went to the edge of the camp and tried to catch a glimpse of Hiram. I didn't see him. I hope he's all right. I thought of what Uncle said about gold being a curse. I felt it reaching out with invisible hands to twist people's hearts and minds. It's made everyone crazy. Uncle made more fishing poles for us so we could try our luck here. Of course, when the others saw me sitting idly by the stream, they came over to ask me to write letters, but Uncle chased them away with a growl. I thought longingly of the meadow and the waterfall. With the bullies about, it might just as well have been a continent away. And what if they caught us there? It's like the old story about the beautiful flower hiding the poisonous snake. When you're drawn to the loveliness, the snake strides, killing you. August 2nd. We have been busy building water chains. The faster we get to the golds, the faster we can go home. August 5th. The water chains have been set up in a row like insect soldiers. We'll move them into place when it's time. Uncle and I have switched to splitting some of the smaller logs for wood. I work hard. I don't worry about the bullies when I'm busy.